from the Denver Broncos Media Center, welcome to Broncos Country Tonight with Ryan Edwards and Benjamin Allbright.
Welcome to Broncos Country Tonight. OTAs are underway for the Denver Broncos. And Benjamin, people are all very excited to see Russell Wilson out there, even though phase one of OTAs, not like there's going to be a lot of action. In fact, it's almost mandated by the league, I believe, that really gym shorts, walking pace, mostly they're just doing lifting and exercise and meetings at this point.
Yeah, basically the same thing I told my trainer when I started working out. So if we could not do the weights, if we could just do all the other stuff, in shorts. And it's a lot of it is just getting to know you stuff. It's getting out there, getting loose, just making sure you have a workout in the middle of the summer to kind of, make sure you keep it in shape and all that kind of stuff. Base install in the classroom, all that kind of stuff. A little bit of weightlifting. Not a whole lot of actual football being done.
Yeah, and this is voluntary. Another reminder here that this is, but that's where I wanted to, for fun, we draw the line on voluntary because really it's voluntold.
Yeah, that's to say, there's a difference between volunteering and voluntolding, and I think you're voluntold on this one, at least if you want to be at the top end of the roster, or if you're somebody who wants to make the team, if you're on the bubble. What are you doing not volunteering for that? So,
well, you got a new coach here. You want to make a good impression.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You want to be, that's what I'm saying. You got a new boss. You want to be in. You want to be the first guy in, last guy out, right? Real gym rat. No, that's not. But that's the time to come in and make your mark. Show everybody you're a hard worker, or at least show everybody that you're willing to pretend you're a hard worker.
Well, on the other side of this is Nathaniel Hackett's first opportunity to really meet with these players in person. Most of them he has not, and get a chance to tell them what he's about. And I think that's kind of he did a really cool breakdown or conversation with Albert Breer, sort of talking about what that looks like. And he said it sort of starts with being genuine, like being yourself.
Authentic.
And but bringing a lot of energy. He said, he kind of hearkened it to when you're going to class. I think this is something we can all relate to. When you're going to high school, college, whatever class it is. Mm-hmm. And if you have a teacher that's really energetic, that really draws you in, you're going to have buy-in naturally for hey, this is actually a fun class. This is a class I look forward to going to. Mm-hmm. And he wants to create that kind of environment here at the Broncos.
Yeah, and I think that's the modern way to do it. I don't think you have to just, grind people into the ground and all that kind of stuff. I think that there's a way to get buy-in and to get excitement out of your guys without just sandblasting them all the way down. As some of the older school coaches have done in the past. So hopefully this approach works. And, we've been around Nathaniel Hackett enough to know that, yeah, he's an energetic guy. That's not the question. The question is, whether or not that translates on the field. And so hopefully that methodology and all these things that he's doing, hopefully those things translate into a great collaborative working and learning environment. And then that continues the snowball rolling downhill on the field.
He talked a little bit more about the why, right? I mean, that was one of the things that he brought up in his press conference about working with Aaron Rodgers and how Aaron Rodgers always wanted to know why. Mm-hmm. Why are we doing this? And he talked about how that filters into really all the players and having that level of respect. And it's so funny because I, kind of drawing the reference to college or high school, I don't think I ever got a chance to really ask my teachers many times why we were doing something. They just wanted us to do it. But these are grown men, and these are millionaires in a lot of cases. These are the elite athletes of this entire country, and you do have to treat this a little bit different. And I also loved a point that he made about how the quarterback and the relationship with the head coach is more of a partnership than it is necessarily a dictator. This is what you're going to do.
Well, it should be that way anyway. There are some people that still have the dictatorial approach, but coming up in high school, I was a why guy. I always was, and you could get me to do whatever as long as you'd explain it to me. Like, tell me why we're doing something. All right, cool. How about But for me, I was always inquisitive like that, to the I think chagrin of many of my teachers, but. I think the greatest teachers love that. I think the greatest coaches and teachers and educators love somebody who's okay. I get that you're telling us this, but why do we need to know this? What is the broader application? And when it comes to football, it's no different. I think that understanding why we're running this route concept, understanding why we're running this front side, this back side, why the progression is high-low, understanding those things will help make you a better player all the way around, because when the play breaks down, you'll understand conceptually what you're trying to accomplish and be able to get outside of the structure of what the design is and be on the same page as your teammates.
And I think through the why, you'll actually know more about not only your position, but maybe the positions around you.
Yeah.
Know what their role is in that whole process too. So that I'm 100% with you. But back to the whole thing about the partnership thing with the quarterback, I don't know if it's going to be that way with every quarterback, right? I mean, I think that's when you're talking about like rookies, you're talking about guys that are still learning in the league. There's a little bit of you have to be a bit of a mentor, right? You have to show them the ropes. But if you're a Russell Wilson, you're Nathaniel Hackett even in your first year, you have to respect that. You have to respect that there's a partnership more than I'm in charge of you, even if we all kind of know that. I'd love to know from your perspective about that sort of invisible line, what you think that looks like, whether it's an elite quarterback or maybe a young quarterback still working his way up.
Well, I think there does need to be a line. I think there needs to be an I'm in charge and the buck stops with me, but we're willing to have a partnership. Somebody has to be the decision maker at some point.
Right.
So, if your guys are wanting to go for it and you're like, well, it's a little early, you need to be the one that's not saying, well, you're the one saying, no, we're punting, we'll come back and get it. You need to be decisive because
that's a big one.
If you're indecisive and you're waffling in the moment, people are going to pick up on that. You have to be, as a leader and as the person in charge of making those decisions, as a head coach you've got to be decisive in that moment in order to have people convicted that you are in charge.
But it comes back to the whole buy-in, right? If the quarterback or any of the players are believing what you're selling, then you're ultimately going to get that win. You have to say, hey, we're not doing this. We're not going for it here. We're on the 4th and goal. Opportunities early on in the game. Yes, we could send a little bit of a statement, but maybe we decide to, use this opportunity just to get the points. That's exactly right. That's where if the team believes in you and believes in the direction of the overall perspective of things, then they're going to believe that coach has got us here.
Yeah, and that's the way just any leadership in your life, you want that leader to be convicted in what they're doing. You want them to be sure of themselves. If you find leadership that's not sure of itself, what happens? You begin to question that leadership. So that's a big part of it.
They also, last thing here, this is going to be an early emphasis. It was an emphasis with the last regime as well, but they continue to talk about it. The reason they hired the people they did is they want to be teachers, right? And that was something that Vic Fangio and his staff wanted to do as well. But it's a little bit of a different thing because now you're talking about guys that are younger teaching versus guys that are much older in this game teaching sort of the younger players. How different is that, do you think? How different is that message from the Vic Fangio staff, which we said is one of the oldest coaching staffs in the league, to what is now one of the youngest coaching staffs in the league? I mean, you're talking about your coach, your coordinators, all much younger, being teachers. How different is that message?
Well, I don't know if the message itself is different, but the mechanism is different because as an older, experienced, resumed person, you have a certain cachet walking into the room to teach someone that. Does Ejiro Evero? Ejiro Evero's never called plays. So what he's trying to get across conceptually is either going to have to click very quick or he's going to have to show up on the field very quickly because he doesn't have that to fall back on. He doesn't have the credibility of, I've got this resume of this many years in the NFL. I've been to Super Bowls. I've been a great defensive coordinator, those kinds of things. He does not have that cachet to fall back on. He's got to build that credibility individually with each player, and it has to be built and cemented before they hit the field. So the ramp-up time for him is less. He's got to explain things and get people to get things much more quickly.
Awesome. All right. Phase 1 OTAs. We'll continue to talk about it throughout the course of the week. For Benjamin Allbright, I'm Ryan Edwards. Thanks for watching Broncos Country Tonight.